dice are loaded. Everybody rolls with their fingers crossed. Everybody knows the war is over. Everybody knows the good guys lost. Everybody knows the fight.
All right, my children. It is time for another episode of So Be It. I'm your humble host, Cyrus, here to titillate your audio holes one episode at a time. Now, the views and expressions on So Be It do not reflect those of YouTube, any YouTube channel, any internet YouTube radio station, any kind of internet radio station, terrestrial radio station, for that matter, at all within the city of Atlanta or the state of Georgia. However, they do reflect those of the haterade drinking Chiba monkeys. And as always, the music you may or may not hear on So Be It is not owned by the show or the show creator / producer, director, or your humble host here. They are owned by the record labels that have produced said music the year that they came out and were released to the general public. Again, I do not own any of the music you may or may not hear on the show. No copyright infringement is intended whatsoever. So, tonight, my babies, we need to put a little spit shine on things. This week it's been a little interesting. Nothing too ridiculous. I've had my buttons pushed rather much lately. For those of you who have kept up with, the little updates that I give here and there with the school that I'm at and the job that I'm doing, the kid has many moments where he's been doing very well lately, but he has moments where he goes off the rails, and not entirely off the rails like he used to, because yours truly for a few moments during the year put the fear of God in him. And rather than holding my temper back, I just unlocked the gates and let it fly. And he's seen it a few times. So, and it, not going to lie, it's going to sound very mean, going to sound very vicious, very cruel, but, I did let it fly, let it go. And it scared him. It really did scare him. To the point where, his bottom lip will start quivering, his eyes will well up, and he'll start looking down, and he just shuts down and kind of shrivels up. And, once I get the general message across, I take my foot off the gas a little, kind of back off, and let it sink in. And, that's what I had to do a few times. And he's come a very long way from when I first met him back at the end of September, which seems like a freaking lifetime ago, but that's for another time. But there are moments, when he kind of starts regressing just a little bit, as I've mentioned in previous episodes before. And it happens only the time it happens the most is like this week. What happened? This past weekend, he spent the weekend with Daddy. And whenever that happens, he kind of starts straying from the path a little bit. Like testing the water, seeing if I'm watching him, seeing if I'm going to react, how I'm going to react. And he has this shit-eating grin on his face that just makes it worse. Like he thinks it's a big game. And I know there's probably a few of you out there who are like, well, it's his condition, it's the Down syndrome. Well, while I heed caution to that can't be blamed for everything, because he knows what he's doing. A majority of the time, he knows for sure. He's a very smart boy, very smart. His intelligence, it's there. You just have to find ways to bring it out. And when you do bring it out, you're like, there it is. Like there's been moments like in the mornings we do, like I've mentioned to you guys before, morning activities, the calendar, the days of the week, the months of the year, the dates, the numbers on the calendar, count all the way up to 31, the alphabet, stuff like that. And at first, obviously, he didn't really participate. I would have better luck pulling teeth out of an infant or a toddler than getting him to do whatever it was. But since he has started doing it, you see the intelligence when he really tries. He knows his stuff. He really does. And you're just sitting there going, hot damn, look at you go. And it's enough to where if somebody were to doubt me and then he put it on display, I would immediately turn around to that person and say, you were saying? Yes, there it is. What do you know? So he's a very smart boy, but so I don't really buy the whole argument of it's his condition. He doesn't know any better. Yeah, doesn't know any better my ass. Yeah, he does. Because like I said, when he starts doing something that he knows full well that I don't like, he turns to look to see if I'm paying attention to him. And like I said, he has that shit-eating grin on his face. Like, I'm doing it. And then I get upset and he gets upset because I'm upset. And then he sits there and he wonders why. So it's a vicious cycle. But mostly it happens, like I said, when he spends his weekends with his dad. Now, I don't have any details about what goes on there when he's with dad. No clue. It's all 100% speculation. Just like it is when, I described several weeks back what I suspected to be what his home life is when he's with mom and his other siblings. It's pretty much the same thing. All it is one huge educated guess. I have no idea. But my educated guess for when he's at dad, and yes, that sound you just heard was me busting my kneecap on my desk. Wowzer. Okay. So what I suspect for daddy is that he has pretty much full reign to do whatever he wants whenever he wants. And he's really not, restrained. And, I suspect that there's a certain percentage of that he gets to do at home, when he's with, Her Majesty the Queen and his other siblings. But I think with his padre, it is even worse, to the fact of where he goes completely unchecked. And I would be willing to bet that a lot of the bad habits and the things that he used to do that I've described to some of you, or to all of you, excuse me, I bet he does at dad's house. I would be willing to bet. But to his credit, and I'm knocking on wood as I say this right now, to his credit, lately when he's come back from dad, all he's done is test the waters on little stuff. So far, it hasn't been anything big, and I'm hoping to the heavens above and to the sped gods that will continue. Because if he starts completely regressing and pulling the same crap that he was doing before, guys, I'm not going to lie to you. I, honest to God, really do not want to pull out the wrath of God stuff that I had to do months ago. That I started doing towards the end of last semester with him. Because, despite what, the people at the school that I'm at now might say, or, the opinions of the kiddos at the last school that I was at in Florida, I really despise being that guy. I've said it before, and you know what? I'm not going to stop saying it, so I'll say it again. I don't like being that way. I hate it. I feel contaminated and just not good the whole rest of the day when I'm like that. It's almost like it taints the rest of the day. And, some of you can make the argument, well, don't let it do that to the rest of the day. Well, easier for you to say, dipshit. You're not in my shoes. Trade places with me for a week and, see how you do. Because it takes a toll on you. And, the last couple times I've had to be that way, I've stepped away and I've sat down, put my head between my legs, and I've taken some deep breaths, not to calm myself down, not to, okay, I'm good. I'm good. It's all good. None of that shit. I do it because of how nasty it makes me feel. And it's that feeling that I'm trying to shake so I can get back to the way that I was, before I had to, open the cage and let the inner beast out. So, Monday kind of was really, really weird because he got out of his mom's car and started walking up to me, but he was walking super, super slow. And to the average person, they would think, something just happened to him, like mommy just yelled at him or I just got onto him for something. But he was super slow. And I'm at the point now where I know something is wrong with him and something is troubling him deeply. Because as he got closer, I paid attention to his face and he looked like he was about to just fall to pieces and start sobbing. I'm like, what the hell? And he walks up to me and immediately, without saying a word, without saying hi, no, not even waving, nothing, he puts his arms around me and pulls me in an almost vice-like grip. Like, hey, dude, what's going on? Not a word. And usually at this point is when he starts talking my ear off. Or, with his condition, he tries to, because, his speech is a little bit affected. So I'm sure I've mentioned all that before, but he starts talking my ear off. Nope. Not that morning. And so we start walking. Normally, when we get inside and we've, taken a couple steps and we get our stride, he starts, chattering up. Nope. So by the time we get halfway back to the classroom and he hasn't said one damn word the whole time, I'm like, oh no, because I'm looking up at the ceiling going, holy God, what have I walked into today? What's it going to be? And finally, I asked him again. This was like the third or fourth time I asked him. I said, what's wrong? I go, why aren't you talking? He managed to mumble a word, daddy. I'm like, okay, what happened? And that kind of broke the ice. And basically what happened was he couldn't tell me what toy it was, but apparently his dad broke one of his. And he was just destroyed. So him being the way that he was that morning, I'm like, okay, daddy broke his toy. You saw, probably yesterday he got dropped off. I can only imagine how AP went. Like, I probably haven't seen anything yet, as far as freakouts go. But I said, oh, really? I said, what happened? And, unfortunately, I don't really know because he started talking so fast, I really couldn't understand him and make it out. So rather than sitting him down and be like, okay, tell me what happened again, I just was like, oh, okay. And, I told him how sorry I was and everything that had happened to him and everything. And walked into the classroom and I said, okay, start unpacking. You know the drill. You know what to do. And I went over to the computer to get him set up. And after I do that, I spin around to see, to check and make sure that he was doing it. He was just standing there staring at the carpet with that blank expression like he was about to burst into tears. And when he starts doing that, after I've told him to unpack, and I pretty much knew how the day was going to go. I went, oh, crap. So got up, walked over to him, and started kind of walking him through it. And everything. And then his listening skills were fine until the very end of the day when he just decided, yeah, I don't think I'm going to listen anymore. I think I've had enough. Okay. That's how you going to play it, Skippy? Well, I can play this game too. Only thing is, I'm better at it than you. And some not over the top, not anything ridiculous, but a little bit of the wrath of God in me came out, and it upset him, but he got the message, and he apologized to me when he got to the bus, when we got to his bus and everything. I'm like, oh, all right, just do better, because what's expected of you now. I said, you should know. You've been with me for almost 6 months. So yeah, it's time. Way past time. So anyway, got on the bus. Tuesday rolls around. It's a little dicey. Just on and off, on and off, on and off. And yeah. And today we had early release. Which for the kids, it was early release, but for the teachers and other paras and stuff, no, we had to stay for some faculty meeting that, well, everything that was said in that faculty meeting could have been put into an email. The administration could have gotten together, pooled everything together, all the notes and everything, and they could be like, all right, we can put this in one big email. We can make a checklist. Okay. Teachers, staff, make sure you're doing this. Okay. Here's some important points. Go. And emailed it to us, and saved us the hassle, because that meeting was an hour of our life that we will never get back, like ever. And people are like, well, that's what being a teacher's all about, collaborating and doing meetings. Well, yeah, kiss my foot. Because all that stuff that could have been put in an email, and there was no reason for it at all whatsoever. And they do it on purpose for early release days. Like, well, we're playing this on early release day. We'll pull them into a meeting. That'd be a good time. Like, no, do it another time, or better yet, don't have a meeting and put everything in an email. If you need to say something, if you need something to be heard, make an announcement, or go and visit, the teachers that it pertains to, and, do it then. So anyway, we sent the kiddos off at 1:30, which was fantastic. Felt great. It's like, yes. After the faculty meeting, me and the other paras, we left, and I drove home with the windows down, blaring Journey, and oh my God, it felt so damn good, especially before all the tree jizz starts falling all over the place. But the major activity wasn't in our room today. For once, it was actually next door with my work wifey, and yes, that's a real thing, a work wifey. Apparently, I got hitched a week after I started working there. Yeah, very interesting. One of the kids in the other classroom, set it up. It's like, yeah, you two are work married. Alrighty then. Whatever, just roll with it. So it was in my work wifey's classroom. There's a kid in there in a wheelchair, and he's deaf and has one of those cochlear implant things, and he has an interpreter with him assigned to him, And for those of you who have no idea what I mean by interpreter, it's a signer. Because I'm sure some of you got a little confused there. But you little dickens. But so he has his good days and his bad days, his very bad days, and then his absolute shit days. And no, it is not an exaggeration. I'm not making this up, and I'm not being dramatic. This is for real. This kid is that volatile. And I mean, I like him. I like the kid to death, but at the same time, seeing some of the stuff that he's done and heard and everything, I'm like, are you freaking kidding me? I mean, I'm nice to him and everything, but if he tries any of the crap that he's done with the others, he will come to fear me, because I don't care what the situation is with him. I don't tolerate that kind of behavior, especially directed at me. But today I would have flown off the handle And the other teacher kind of did, which I don't blame her in the least bit. What happened was he had a procedure recently, and he went to the doctor this morning, and he had, I don't really know what he had done this morning, but I heard something like he had a tube taken out. It was either like from his stomach or from some other place. I don't know. So he came in, he seemed okay, but his interpreter and I are, we're talking, and we've gotten, a little close lately, not nothing ridiculous, but we talk, and I ask her, yeah, how's he doing today? So on and so forth. And she asks me about, the kid. And, he was a little grumpy today. I'm like, well, all right, nothing unmanageable, And so, saw him earlier in the day, and he seemed all right, especially when I saw him and I started interacting with him, he seemed fine. But then later in the afternoon, as we were watching a movie that the kids are reading about, the door opens and he comes in, and he looked pissed. And I'm like, what the hell? And he was pushing, like rolling himself, and the main teacher was like, yeah, do yourself, come on. And he was getting pissed off and just going nuts. And he can't talk. All he can do is make noises, and he can't form consonants or words or anything. The only word I've ever heard him say is bye. And he was saying it to me when I loaded him on his bus a couple weeks ago. So other than that, he can't form words at all. Which, anybody who knows kids in that kind of situation, that's pretty much typical. But anyway, he was giving this other teacher absolute hell. And she was like, you are not being nice. And he was, and she brought him in that bathroom, and she just started raising hell all of a sudden out of nowhere. She exploded. And one of the other teachers and I in our room, we were sitting at the table, and I look at her and she looks at me, and I'm like, good God, I wonder what happened. And she looks at me, she goes, I don't know, man. He did something. And she came storming out of that bathroom. Come to find out, this little punk spit on her and tried to punch her. Yeah. Like, huh? Okay, he tried to put some spit shine on that. Lovely. And he took a swing at her. Now, granted, it wasn't a very strong swing because, he's pretty much confined to his wheelchair, and his arm strength is, well, pretty much nothing. But still, the fact remains, that's what he did. And I'm like, get out of here. And me and the other teacher looked at each other like, are you serious? And yeah. And apparently that's just some of the crazy ass antics that he's done. He's apparently told the main teacher that he wanted her dead at some point. Or I don't know how accurate that is, but like, damn, this kid is insane. Like, what? And just because, a few of his interactions with me have been, not so friendly, just because, he was not really feeling it, just grumpy and rare. But for the most part, it's been very positive. I'm like, how can this kid do that? Like, what? And I'm like, probably the only conclusion is that this kid is babied beyond belief. And when he doesn't get his way, that's when the tantrum starts up. So he needs a dose of spank that ass, and just needs a good old fashioned ass whooping. Like the ones that I got when I was a kid, when I messed up before all this pansy, oh my God, everything offends me era came about. So, but I'm like, wow, he spit in her face and took a swing. And I'm like, oh, I hope his daddy lights him up when he gets home. Because, it doesn't matter what kind of situation you're in or not. You just don't do that. I'm sorry. And you shouldn't let a kid get away with that either. Doesn't matter if he's sped or not. You don't tolerate it. You don't accept it. You don't do any of that. So for once, the big drama wasn't in our room. It kind of was, because they came over to use the bathroom that's in our room. because that's kind of like our special, sped bathroom. So it was in our room without it being in our room, if that makes any sense at all. So, I turned around to the other teacher and I said, "Oh my God, so help the kid if he ever decides to act like that." And she started laughing. She goes, "I know." She goes, "You would just go nuts." Like, yeah, probably the worst that you've ever seen me. Because I don't tolerate it. I don't. So that's been the magic of this week so far. It's been rather interesting. Ups and downs for sure. We have 2 days left, and then we have approximately 2 weeks, and then first week of April is spring break time. So haven't really made up my mind exactly about what I want. Well, I kind of have. I don't know if I'm going to make it down to SRQ or not. I'm going to try my hardest, but I honest to God don't know what, if and or where I will go, if anywhere at all. I might be too broke to do shit, but we'll see. So anyway, yeah, one of the kids today put some spit shine on it. So I don't know. We'll see how he is when he shows up tomorrow, because apparently before he left, he told the teacher that he loved her. So it's like, well, all right, yeah, you're backpedaling because you know what's going to happen to you when you get home. It's like, phone call to daddy. So I don't know. We'll see. I'll update you guys on what happens. Either way, it'll be interesting nonetheless. So I'm going to kind of cut it kind of short tonight. So, kind of running on fumes right now. My sleep patterns have been kind of off, but I like to give little updates like this every now and then, kind of keep you guys' finger on the pulse of my job and what I'm doing. So, yeah, very interesting. It's never ever dull. That's for damn sure. It's just like the other place, my last school that I was at. It was never ever a dull moment. So, anyway, that's gonna do it for me tonight, my babies. So until next time, good night.
Cease to resist, giving my goodbye.